Hello, my name is Russ Etheridge and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm going to be posting a lot of animation related content here, whether it's tutorials or bits of stuff that I'm working on. This is the place where I'm going to be posting it. I'm a freelance animator based in Brighton in the UK. I've been working professionally for about 10 years, producing visual effects, 2D and 3D character animation. My main in-depth tutorials all go up onto Skillshare, so if you want to do some serious learning, go and check me out over there. This will be the place where I'll be posting bonus content, maybe videos that don't necessarily fit into the main part of the Skillshare classes. But I'll also be posting other random things, either things that I'm working on or perhaps time lapses of me working, that kind of stuff. In this video, I'm going to be going over the Cinema 4D character object. There's a few pros and cons when using the character object, so I'll quickly point those out before we actually get stuck in. The pros being it's incredibly fast to set up and it's a very advanced rig that comes with lots of bells and whistles, things that would take you a long time to set up in your own rigs. Plus there's a whole bunch of base creature layouts, including obviously humans, but there's also quadrupeds, birds, insects, that kind of stuff. And within those, they're all kind of customizable. So if you've got a human, you don't have to stick with 2 arms, you can have 4 arms or 3 arms or something like that. So yeah, it's highly customizable. That being said, there are a few cons, obviously. It doesn't fit each and every situation. So if you're modeling something completely random, like, I don't know, like a tin can robot with slug feet or I don't know, like something totally random, it's not necessarily going to fit that. So keep that in mind. Plus, the fact that the rig is so advanced is almost its own drawback because it's incredibly difficult to adjust the rig once you've made it. If you open up the rig hierarchy, it's just like explodes with a million billion different objects and they're all attached with espresso and crazy tags. So if you've got a character which is doing something really special where you need to actually adjust the rig, like maybe I don't know, I mean, it is adjustable, but if you're doing something like animation that's not led by the hips, or like the character needs to be held in 2 different places and you need to attach things in different places, all that kind of stuff is quite tricky with this rig because, like I said, it's just so ridiculously complicated. That being said, it's still an amazing tool and well worth your time learning it. I've used it plenty for different human characters just because it's such an advanced rig and it's really easy to animate. Plus it's got plenty of sliders for fine control of different types of things. Something that would take a really long time to develop your own rig to do. Personally, I haven't really used the other creatures that much. I think I maybe have used it for a horse once. But I don't think I've really used the insect or the bird ones. Those ones, I mean, those things are quite easy to rig simply anyway. I haven't really explored it. Maybe there's some really cool stuff. If you were animating a really complicated bird and the bird was like the main feature character in the animation, then I'm sure it'd be useful for that. But yeah, like I said, it's really good for humans and we're going to use it on my sort of default character that I've been using for a lot of tutorials. So let's get to it. So you go to character up here and you just click on character and that creates a base character object. So with the character object selected, you get a few options. Basically, this object lets you build the shape of your character. Obviously, you could have preset rigs where it's just an entire rig all ready to go, but that rig wouldn't necessarily fit your character and you'd have to work into it a lot. So it's not a very useful thing to just have a completely preset rig. So what this character object does is it lets you build these advanced rigs, but they're really highly adjustable. And for example, if your character's only got 1 leg or it's got 4 arms or something like that, it accommodates for that. So it's pretty amazing. Or if it's got a tail or something. But anyway, we've just got a regular character. So let's just take you through the process of building a rig for this character. So the first thing we want to do is go to the build tab. These tabs are laid out in order of which you'll be using them. So once you've built, you'll then go to the adjustment phase, and then once you've adjusted, you go to the binding phase, and then once it's all ready to go, you can just click on animate, and then the rig will be in its animatable form. It's all really straightforward. So with the character ready, let's start building. So the first thing we need to do is make a root. And then we'll put in a base null down here and then click on spine. So it's generated a spine for us there. Don't worry, it's all out of alignment. We'll move on to the adjust tab after we've got all our limbs laid out. So now we need arms. there's a couple of options here. There's bendy arms and then there's IK, FK only. So bendy arms is even more complicated than the regular ones. We don't need bendy arms, we just need regular arms. So if you hold down Control or Command on the Mac and click on the arm, it will make both of them, left and right. So with the arms selected, you can click on hand, hold down Control and click on hand, and it will make a hand null. So the hand null we need, and then we need a thumb. So you can choose FK, IK thumbs. I guess if we hold down Control, it'll be all right. This is where it gets a little bit overcomplicated. So this character doesn't have a joint in the thumb, it's just a little stubby thumb. But yeah, with the character object, even though it's highly adjustable, you still get all the joints, so this is like physically accurate. That's fine. Like if we were going to do binding, you could just bind it to this one joint. We don't need to bind it to everything. It's worth noting here that the hands of my character are orientated facing forwards. Generally, you should model your character with the palms facing downwards towards the ground, so the palms are facing the ground. That's how the character object is expecting you to have modeled your character. I don't think there's actually a way to change that in the character object. Obviously, if you're making your own rig, then it will work. That's how we did it in my Skillshare class, but it still caused us problems anyway. I should have model this character with the palms facing down. That was a bit of a mistake on my part. But yeah, just a note, if you're modeling your own character, and especially if you're using the character object, make sure that the character has its palms facing downwards. So obviously we haven't done the legs yet, so let's go back to spine, because the legs come off the spine. We want IK, FK legs. You can also select bendy legs there, which we don't need. So hold down Control again, Command, and click on leg. You might have seen in there's a bunch of other options. You can do eye, jaw, and it just goes on and on. So that's it. That's basically the rig made. If you just click straight to animate now, you can give it a test. You can see that all the knee and the arms are working nicely. But let's go back to build. So the next thing you need to do after you've built your rig is to adjust it, because obviously these arms are coming out the top of his head at the moment, which isn't right. We want the arms to come out of the arms. So you go to the Adjust tab, and then the rig changes to this incredibly user-friendly view. Allows you to, all these parts of the rigs, to exactly what you need for the character. So the best thing to do is just to go to this front view, and then you can just start moving these around. So the shoulder goes there, elbow goes there, wrist is okay. And you don't have to worry about the alignment of these things, because it just sorts it out for you. There is a few bugs with this. It's not 100% accurate, so I can't remember exactly what, but there's some quirks. So it is possible to mess this up a bit. So you might have to try a couple of times. I think there's something with straight arms. There's something with if your feet aren't 100% straight, it will get a bit confused. That kind of stuff. You just have to redo it. Make sure your knees are more straight or your legs are straight. You might have to adjust your model to accommodate this rig, because if you're going to use the advanced biped rig, it's only going to do what it's capable of doing. So yeah, just be aware that there are limitations to its magic. Just to illustrate the point, I'm not doing this particularly accurately. Okay, see, look, this is another thing you've got to be careful, because these things are kind of like attached to the rig to a certain extent. Do things in a certain order. Like I should have positioned that first. Once you've done the adjusting, you can go to binding. So you go to bind. I'm just going to actually bake this symmetry. Yeah, go to binding, drop your anything that you want to skin, any mesh that you want to skin to the object here. Like for example, if he had some clothes, he had a t-shirt on, or if they were separate objects. This is all one object. I'm just trying to keep it simple at this point, but having multiple objects is perfectly fine when rigging. So you just drop those in there, and it will do some kind of like automatic weighting, but then you can just go in like a totally normal rig. If you'd like more details on how to bind a character, then you can check out my in-depth rigging class. The link is in the description. I would mention, like, look how many bones there are. There's like tons more joints than when we made the rig ourselves. So that's one of the downsides of using this character rig. Anyway, let's say you've gone through and you've bound the character and it's all looking nice and neat and tidy. Then you're ready to just click on the animate tab and start animating, really. All these controllers are ready to go. Yeah, one thing to point out, I'm not sure why it does this. It didn't used to do this, I don't think. But it's got two rigs in here. So one of them is IK and the other one is FK. And you can switch between those really easily. If you click on the leg object, and you go to controls, you get a load of controls in here. You can knee twist sliders, it's got foot roll sliders, so you can do all these kind of cool things with the feet. Yeah, make sure you set up all these axes. So see the axis at the back is in the wrong point here. That needs to be right on the heel. So the axis is slightly wrong there, but I didn't really spend time setting this up very accurately. Yeah, so we've got the IK, FK slider, so that will link to the FK rig, and then you can start animating from there. They're like two separate rigs, and it just shows both of them. I don't know if maybe I've got the display settings wrong, but yeah, it shows them both. And there's the same thing going on the arms. You can see you can see the FK rig pointing out there. So yeah, that's the character object. Display, so if you click on the character and go to display, obviously at the moment, it's all you get to see is these weird special icons, which there's a lot of stuff going on here. So obviously it's not showing you the joints, but you can see them. If you go to managers, object manager, it's only showing the components at the moment. If you change this, you've got a load of options in here, but if you change it to full hierarchy, then you can see the true extent of this rig. All these joints, all these nulls, all these crazy espresso tags, constraints, just goes on and on and on and on and on forever. It's really good. Whoever made this is a genius, is all I'm saying. And this is what I mean when I say rigging is a rabbit hole that you can go down. This is what a really good rig looks like. That's the character object. Yeah, I would highly recommend using this, so just go for it. Like I said before, knowing the basics and understanding roughly how rigs work will be a huge benefit to you, even when using this character rig, because you're inevitably going to want to be attaching stuff to this. You need to know the difference between IK and FK to be able to use those sliders. So knowing what you're lacking in your own rigs, if you're just starting out rigging, just knowing all that stuff to a certain level will make you appreciate all the controls that you get with this rig. Go ahead and make some amazing character animation. Okay, great. So like I mentioned at the start, Skillshare is where I do all my full in-depth tutorials. So if you're interested in doing a full character rig from scratch, I've got a class on there where I go through it from joints, explaining FK, IK and all that kind of stuff. If you sign up with the link below in the description, you'll get a 14-day free trial. So if you're interested in learning rigging from scratch and learning about all the tools in Cinema 4D, head over there. That's where the in-depth class is. I'm planning on posting more stuff on here regularly, and I think there's a couple more videos that will be attached to the rigging class upcoming soon. So if you're interested, hit subscribe and be sure not to miss those. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.